Good morning, guys. How are we all doing? I am Dan from Trading with Dan. This is our Saturday morning Bitcoin update. I'm pretty much super rough today. Got a cold back. I'm coughing again, which I wasn't before. Didn't go out or anything last night, and obviously won't be doing anything tonight either. Just trying to recover. But at least I got some sleep last night. I did manage to sleep, so obviously I feel a lot better just from that. But I don't think it was going to be an effort to not sleep for 2 nights in a row anyway. But so right, let's go straight over to those Bitcoin 4-hour charts. So yeah, as we can see, a pretty significant rejection from these highs. Had a nice pump up, a pullback, and then continuation through a number of levels. You can kind of see we've got this area of previous price action in the near term, which actually also corresponds to some levels that we've got going on here, but obviously not a lot of price action within this zone. So we obviously could get supported here, make a move up, but it is looking likely that we have potentially established that upside level. So what we may do now is adjust this level down to there. We can potentially also put in another horizontal, which is basically around the middle of this range we could potentially now have formed, the range that we were kind of looking for. A horizontal around here, as you can see, relatively significant. And yeah, so we'll have these levels to play against. I believe this level didn't really do much, so we'll delete that one just to depopulate the chart a little bit. But yeah, so what can we expect now? Either we do get supported here, move back on up, trade towards the highs, potentially put in a lower high, and then just grind sideways within this potentially $57,000 to $67,000 range. That's kind of what I was looking for, is after obviously a trending move to then put in some sideways consolidation. It was just a case obviously where the top side of that consolidation was going to be, which is looking like it may be around here, and obviously where the bottom side is, but obviously we don't know that at the moment. It may be where we are now. We may not get as low as this 57, 58,000, but it does kind of look like we've got a good chance of getting down here. Maybe over the weekend we just kind of trade sideways, maybe even drift up a bit, put in a lower high. If we want to tentatively draw a line, we could get rejected around here somewhere, and then sent back down towards that $58,000 level. Or obviously on the flip side, if we break above and confirm above, obviously we have this horizontal here also and this trend line. If we break above here, then yeah, we could then see a move upwards up towards 64,000, and then we can come back and test the top side. And then we just obviously play the game, or do we break it? Do we get front round before it? Do we then obviously just put in a lower high, and then yeah, and continue with our sideways grind for a few weeks? I do feel like, in much the same way I can remember back here, or it was either back at 40,000 or 30,000, I was talking about, we pretty much felt like we were at max FUD. It does seem a bit like we're at max bullishness now. Everything seems to be massively bullish. GBTC wanting to convert to a spot ETF, the actual futures ETFs. Obviously breaking all-time highs is clearly just bullish and starts a bullish news cycle. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine what more bullish catalysts we can get at the moment. So maybe we are gonna enter. We are gonna enter more of a bearish news cycle, and then yeah, just play some sideways to down. Obviously if we lose 58, we'll be looking towards 52, 53. Wouldn't necessarily be ideal, but in the context of this whole massive move up, even putting in a higher low around this 52, 53,000 level, then turning back up from there, clearly doesn't look bad. And that's obviously how we know price does meander around. I mean, we saw it previously with this move. This move up, we obviously had the move up, came back down quite substantially, and then turn back up. If we get this move up, we come back down to around 52, 53, then turn back up. It's not going to look out of place at all. It's going to look like a very normal chart. So yeah, obviously that is on the cards. But as we know, we got these horizontals. We only really got to play it horizontal by horizontal. We lose 58. Yeah, we can come down to here, and then obviously if we lose that, then obviously it won't look very good at all. But we shall see what happens. Let's have a look at some of those closes. Dollar, a relatively. In fact, let's go on to our correct chart. The dollar, a relatively good close for the risk on people, moving down. The 10-year easing off a little bit from these highs into the close. Not really much to see there. Stock market similarly sort of easing off from those highs. Nothing really untowards there. Obviously we put in new all-time highs and then pulled off a bit there. Not much else realistically to look at in the proper finance. Gold made a move up and got slammed back down. Obviously by the by the central bankers, by the market manipulators. Bitcoin dominance, as we can see, with this Bitcoin potential sideways to sideways market on the cards. Bitcoin dominance is now making a move down. Yeah, so obviously this is looking pretty like we can make a move down. Got this horizontal area here, breakthrough here, then yeah, we could be looking at a significant move. But at some point, does Bitcoin start to get wet and wild, either to the upside above 67 or to the downside below 58? It could, in which case we would expect altcoins not to perform as well as Bitcoin, and i.e. this go up. The Ethereum Satoshi pairing looking threatening here, like it wants to try and finally break this whole downwards move we've had. Still got work to do. Got these highs, got this horizontal, but once we get above there, we'll start to look good for moves onwards and upwards. I'm sure at some point we'll start to get an Ethereum ETF news, and then Ethereum start to do well relative to Bitcoin, or just the people that have been sucked into Bitcoin start to then have a look at Ethereum also. So what else do we want to look at here? What else do we want to look at? Yeah, not too much there. We can look at the stochastics for Bitcoin, which we do know we're looking potentially sideways to down on everything but the highest time frames, which are obviously just testament to the macro trend, which is still clearly up, but indicating we can clearly play some sideways to down here. But yeah, 4 hour may turn back up from a deep level to give us some weekend shenanigans to the upside. Probably will drag 10 hour back upwards as well if that is to happen. 12 hour diving as well from here. Daily still coming down. 2 days turn back down. Obviously 3 day turn down, 5 days, and then obviously these are the ones that look better. 5 days still coming up, weekly still pointing up, bi-weekly looking great, and monthly will potentially turn back up. So yeah, I mean, like I said, like it's been looking like potential sideways to sideways to down. Maybe this is the range we established. So yeah, that's what we can realistically expect. Yeah, you guys want to hear like a little bit of a rant for a Sunday, a rant for a Saturday morning even. Basically, I've been seeing all over the news wires about Trump and his social media platform, and obviously the left are going a bit insane because ultimately the left know that they manipulate the media institutions and social media. They're all heavily left-leaning bias to basically manipulate and subvert democracy and win elections. We know that they do that, so it is funny to see them literally accusing Trump, obviously, of setting up a counterbalance sort of own social media platform and saying this is going to be a threat to democracy. It's just like, it's almost if we didn't know that they basically their left-leaning bias of social media, their influence over it, and obviously mainstream news media to convince people of things. It's like they just admit that they know that is the case, because now they're worried that Trump is going to do the same, and if anything, they obviously were using it to bias elections, and if Trump then offers a counterbalance, I mean, that ultimately is just going to be add to a more balanced democratic process rather than a one-sided one. So that brings me to like a bit of pop psychology, where like basically, obviously you guys have known this a lot of times in your life. You get those low IQ people that obviously they make accusations of people, yourself, maybe other people, and it's like, they don't see past their own perspective. The accusations they make are basically the sort of things that they know they're doing, because that is their reality. It just takes them a certain level of intelligence to really try and get behind other people's perspectives and points of view. Successful people will obviously massively understand other people's perspectives and points of view, because that obviously, I mean, without making it sound a bit bad, that's sort of like how you manipulate people in a way. You can use that word. Obviously, manipulate has negative connotations, but I mean, manipulation is just impacting your surroundings or environment, isn't it? It doesn't have to have negative connotations. It has negative connotations if you are manipulating for nefarious means, but yes, anyway, you use your influence over people, and obviously if you don't understand their perspective, how are you going to have any chance of influencing them? Do you know what I mean? Obviously, it's going to be harder if you don't understand what is making them tick. So that's like kind of the whole left. The whole left, for me, is basically, some of it is obviously low IQ people. Some of it is people that just don't put enough effort into understanding the real stuff that's going on. They just don't bother looking into the fact that maybe they are being manipulated, and then just don't want to admit it, and then just crack on with like just their lives generally. The whole left side. But yeah, it is interesting that they obviously then throw the accusations at basically Trump and his potential social media platform, which are literally the exact things that they are doing in a true low IQ fashion. I mean, you see it all the time in things. I have like problems with my eldest daughter's mum, and it's like a lot of them are clearly, I can see clearly stem from, she has issues and things that she deems as important. So then she will basically kind of think that I basically value those things the same way. So like, say she's for example, I'm doing well for myself. She basically, when she's doing well for herself and I maybe not, she will basically she will like lord over me and like literally act all like arrogant and aloof and think she's great. And it's like, when I'm doing well and she's better than her, she will then obviously think that I'm kind of lording over her in a aloof fashion and looking down on her, but I'm not. I just don't care. Like, I just want to see my kid, and that's it. I mean, you're just the kid's mum, that is it. But she will be judging me from her own perspective, how she views things. She will be thinking I have this same opinion of her that she has over me. When obviously the roles are reversed, when I don't. But obviously low IQ people, left-leaning people, they struggle to see other perspectives. They struggle to see other perspectives, basically. And it's not like they're obviously, a lot of the left will be high functioning and not low IQ, but they are lazy. They don't look into things enough. They don't look into the fact they're manipulated. Also, the left as a whole, the left are leaders. They're not leaders. They're not natural born, confident leader type people. They just like to be followed. They like to be part of groups. They like to follow. They feel safety in like numbers. I mean, that is literally the opposite of leadership. If you're not confident to stand out there and be a leader, then yeah, I mean, realistically, how can you formulate your own opinions and views if you are basically a herding creature? So on the whole, that is kind of what the left does, and you kind of see them. They all like to whip up in a massive frenzy and sort of get like all involved, all behind them, whatever the issue du jour is, the issue of the day is, and they all just basically get on board, get behind it, all just rally together in a true herding fashion, without realistically looking into or making any critical decisions and without any critical thought of their own. Their team, this is what their team is saying, this is what we shall do. And yeah, they are too many Indians, there's not enough chiefs. As opposed to the expression where you have too many chiefs and not enough Indians. But yeah, anyway, a little rant there. But obviously Trump's SPAC, Special Purpose Acquisition company, basically is done 1300%, I think, this week. Made in over 10x gains for those degens that want to FOMO into crazy stuff like that. So that's the reason why obviously I was looking at it and then looking at media coverage, obviously biased left-leaning media coverage that are obviously clearly aware of their left-leaning influence over people and clearly scared of a right leaning influence over people, because they just They want to manipulate the election. They want to manipulate the elections themselves. They don't want any counterbalance to their manipulation, which clearly everyone can see resulted in a win for a certain geriatric clown. So yeah, there we go, guys. Remember, this is not financial advice. It's not clear enough. It's not psychological advice. It's not political advice. It is no form of advice. Thanks for listening, and I shall speak to you guys soon.